The largest island on Earth, an isolated and inaccessible continent, is home to a special jungle. It flourishes thanks to moisture brought by the Pacific Ocean and to the mountains that seem almost to grow out of the ocean itself and collide with the clouds above. These are ancient forests that have remained inaccessible from the beginning of time, creating a unique microcosm. The remoteness of these jungles is what makes them so stunningly different. The forests of this huge island have imprisoned an incredibly rich, different, and colorful fauna. Australia was unknown to the rest of the world until barely 2 centuries ago. An enigmatic place that still hides much to be discovered. Australia is a huge island continent that hosts a unique forest on its eastern coast. Humid jungles extend along the eastern mountain ranges and are most dense in Queensland. The Australian rainforest is one of the oldest and most unique on the planet. Its isolation has meant that many of the beings that inhabit the area are indigenous and found nowhere else. In its shadows lurk animals that bring to mind the distant past. The remains of a very ancient fauna hidden in the foliage. Furtive footsteps that transport us, as if in a dream, to the time of the dinosaurs themselves. And although there are no flesh and blood dinosaurs here, many of the plants that accompanied them almost 130 million years ago still bloom. The Daintree tropical jungle has remained virtually unchanged since then, and each step of the evolution of its terrestrial plants has been preserved. Here, one of the most complete records of living fossils of the planet's flora survives. With so much history behind it, this jungle has given the fauna time to learn how to use it at all levels and in many different ways. Pied imperial pigeons know how to exploit all the resources the jungle offers. During the breeding season, they gather twigs according to size and thickness, with which they prepare their simple nest in some discreet corner of the foliage. pied imperial pigeons travel from New Guinea to breed in these forests in the rainy season. When the nest has been constructed, the female lays a single egg, which both parents will then take care of with great devotion. The Australian jungle is an ecosystem full of opportunities, where the lives of plants and animals are intimately intertwined. The highest branches of the trees are a refuge. Little red flying foxes form noisy colonies of tens of thousands of individuals at the top of the jungle canopy. During the day, they doze or breastfeed their offspring, which cling to their mother's bodies for several weeks. The young lives depend on this maternal embrace. A fall is as good as fatal. Flying foxes have very well-equipped feet with claws that allow them to grip the branches effortlessly for hours. At night, they will fly tens of kilometers to feed on the ripe fruit and flowers of the jungle. And so they are very important in the dispersal of jungle fruits and in pollinating flowers. After their nocturnal flight, they spend hours cleaning their fur. By day, apart from resting, flying foxes occupy themselves with matters of the heart. The mating ritual of these megabats is somewhat violent, a kind of love-hate relationship that culminates in the male grabbing hold of the female during intercourse. This operation is repeated several times between games, tender touches, and fights. Away from the hustle and bustle of the flying fox colony, other branches are not used for rest, but rather for display. Birds of paradise need good perches if they are to be noticed. In order to attract females, male Victoria's rifle birds will frequent a number of well-located spots in their territory. Immature birds practice on the display perches of their older masters. They rehearse their courtship dance time after time, competing with each other. While they do so, the adult owner of the perches and of the territory replenishes his energies by gathering jungle fruit. But he has his favored spots and the dancing young pretenders in his sight at all times. The time has come to put matters in order. The resplendent male in perfect condition shows who is really in charge here. With a little concentration, the masterclass begins. Between his spectacular choreography and the brilliance of his plumage, no one can fail to notice him. Thanks to his energetic dance, he seduces several females at a time. Each will make her own nest, but the offspring will all be fathered by the great dancer himself. Although they share the same jungle, in terms of weight and agility, cassowaries are in total contrast to the riflebird. These large birds have a reputation for being aggressive. One kick from a cassowary, armed with its dagger-sharp middle claw, is enough to kill any predator. But in reality, apart from a certain grumpiness when sharing food, they are only really dangerous when under stress. Cassowaries and the other birds of this woodland habitat depend on fruit to survive. When a tree like this palm is in fruit, it attracts a wide range of fauna keen to seize the moment. There's not always such abundance of food. The seasonal fruits will be consumed within a few days by golden orioles, pigeons, doves, and metallic starlings. They all ingest the fruit whole. The metallic starling's colony is very close, in the highest branches of a tall tree. They hurriedly swallow the seeds that they then feed to their 2 or 3 chicks in the nest. The metallic starlings have also come here from New Guinea to take advantage of the explosion of resources that occurs in these Australian forests during the rainy season. The starlings construct their small metropolis by weaving vegetable matter into the branches of the tree. Food can be so abundant up in the trees that some animals of terrestrial origin have learned to climb. Some kangaroos have swapped the hard, dry outback for the branches. The offspring of tree kangaroos stay with their mother for 2 years before daring to live alone among the jungle branches. Despite their rotund and even clumsy-looking build, tree kangaroos are in fact excellent climbers. Their long tails help maintain balance, and their front paws have evolved a very strong grip. Their placid character is a result of their diet, which is exclusively of leaves and therefore low in calories. So, tree kangaroos take reducing their expenditure of energy very seriously. Tree kangaroos share both their territory and diet with other curious animals. Some of the jungle's leaf eaters, like possums, only emerge to eat on the night shift. So during the day, they sleep among the branches. The mountain pygmy possum moves only a few meters each day. There's no need to do more when you can find a tasty mouthful of leaves right next to your bed. At the opposite extreme to the discreet and tranquil life of the possums, there is a brash, bustling antagonist. Incredible combinations of brilliant colours and nuances are a constant factor among the fauna that inhabits these Australian jungles. And standing proud against the green backdrop, the rainbow lorikeet is a startling symphony of colours. Rainbow lorikeets form small flocks to look for trees in flower. Their tongue is modified into a kind of brush with which they collect nectar and pollen. Their intense activity is vitally important in pollinating a huge number of jungle flowers. While the lorikeets flutter and fill their stomachs, the pied imperial pigeons take care of their hatchling, which they feed with a kind of milk they regurgitate from their crop. The chick is so small that the mother has to teach him how to eat. Meanwhile, on the ground below the pigeon's nest, cassowaries patrol in search of sustenance. They collect fruit that falls from the trees and are known to consume the fruit of more than 70 different plants. In a single day, an adult male may ingest hundreds of fruits and berries. But the cassowary's voracity is not the end of the road for the seeds. most emerge intact from the cassowaries' digestive tract. In fact, this step of passing through the large bird's gut is essential in activating the seeds so they can germinate. So as the cassowary wander through their territory, eating, drinking and defecating, they transport seeds at least 800 meters from where they find them. It's not only seeds that fall to the floor in the Australian rainforest. Lying on top of the leaf litter, the old rotting trunks of trees have become refuges, highly sought after homes. Musky rat kangaroos share the cassowary's passion for fallen fruit. But the jungle provides other foods, and this small animal is virtually omnivorous. This strange marsupial lives exclusively in the rainforests of northwest Australia. In these wet jungles, one must be vigilant. There are unique predators capable of killing with a single bite. The tiger quoll is a carnivorous marsupial whose ferocity is in no doubt. And like the rat kangaroos, they use the old trees as their home. This agile predator is capable of climbing trees to hunt, or doing so on the ground. On its menu are birds, reptiles, and other mammals, such as rat kangaroos. It will even feed on insects. Any time is good for hunting, but it prefers the evening and nighttime, when the darkness is protagonist in the depths of the jungle. The bite of the tiger quoll is one of the most powerful in the world, allowing it to crush even the toughest bones of its victims. The primitive Australian rainforest is a unique place in the world, inhabited by giant flightless birds, kangaroos in the trees, and birds of paradise, each living in its own distinct way. But of them all, the golden bowerbird must lay claim to being the most original. This bird builds its own scenario within the theatre of the jungle. Males create a small and beautiful work of art and architecture to attract the females that live in the vicinity. It is without doubt one of the most complex examples of behavior among the bird kingdom. The jungle offers the bowerbird everything it needs for its construction: small branches, blades of grass, lichens, and flowers. The golden bowerbird knows it takes time to create a true work of art. so every decision is meditated carefully. The Australian rainforests are an extravagant paradise of unusual animals that until just a couple of centuries ago had gone unnoticed by science. In only a small portion of Australian rainforest, just 0.2 of its territory, the widest diversity of plants and animals on the continent is found, including 30% of all the marsupials, amphibians and reptiles in Australia, and hundreds of unique indigenous species found nowhere else on Earth. The plants and animals of the tropical rainforests of Australia are nature's unique designs, exceptions, living oddities that are an essential fragment of a forest that has barely changed in 130 million years.